Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, people, thank you for coming here today to hear about our new project. I'm honored to be the first one to tell you about a new museum to be built in our city. Today, we come to share a dream with you, a dream about a museum called Clothes of the Utopian Society, the Museum of Utopian Clothes. Our dream today is about a significant new museum where the people decide what is and what is not art. It is going to be a living organism, a place where we can learn about the world through the true stories directly from the people and not from media and from books. Our museum is not a typical museum. It is a museum of the future. It is a museum with a single and sublime mission: to keep the invisible stories of people visible. Our museum, the future, is dedicated to the mission of uniting people around the idea of a world that is based and focused on justice and empathy. Our museum of the future is a place with an absence of status. It is a place where everyone is equal. Our museum welcomes all, scientists and laymen alike, to discover a collection based on the weak points of our society, and to use that knowledge to research and rebuild our society. Our museum is going to be a place where the people speak for themselves, and a place where they can reflect and revise on history based on their own experience. They will be able to use the objects that we've collected, the images, the objects, and the stories, all selected because of their significance in living a coherent life. But our selection committee has an ethical problem. How do we select these things? How can we select the objects to go into our museum? We've been donated thousands of pieces, but what is the selection criteria? I mean, what are the true stories? And what are the ethical constraints? Well, we've come to you today to help us solve these and other problems. And so we humbly ask you to help us choose some of the items to go into our museum. We hope you will help us. All of you have been given small dresses on sticks, yes? Yes, there is a red side and a white side. Now, we're going to present to you several objects and their stories. We ask you to tell us which ones belong in our museum and which do not. When asked to vote, holding up the white side means yes, please include this into the museum. If you disagree that there is no humanity in this, no true human value, then please show us the red side, which will mean no, it should not be included in our Museum of Utopian Clothes. Are we together on that? If you have any questions or you wish to debate this whole process, tomorrow at the workshop. So, story number 1, Occupy Respectability Politics. I was born and raised in suburban Los Angeles to working middle-class parents that believed in and still conduct their lives by the code of respectability politics. They were raised in the early 1960s to parents from the second great migration of blacks from the American South who came west seeking opportunity and an escape from systematic racism. They grew up in an era which emphasized keeping your eyes on the prize and black power as an Afrocentric thought. And they were the first generation of blacks after the Civil Rights Movement to be optimistic. The children of my generation and economic background saw the struggles of the 60s by and large as mission accomplished. I was in my first semester at grad school, and some friends of mine who were in the Occupy movement suggested that I come over to Zuccotti Park after work. And at some point, I was confronted by these two guys, each with microphone and a camera, and I'm wearing loafers and beige chino pants and a light blue button-down Oxford shirt from the Gap. And they come up to me and they look at me up and down and they say, "Hey, you, what do you think about these people protesting here?" I looked them right in the eye and I said, "It's good to see people out here organizing against the unjust dealings of this country's financial institutions." They were very surprised. They looked me up and down with an extremely puzzled expression, took their microphones and their cameras, and quickly walked away. Story one, Occupy politics. Ladies and gentlemen, now, is this a case of mistaken identity? Is this some sort of profiling gone wrong? What is the humanity of this story? We are going to vote. Get ready. Yes or no? White for yes, red for no. Lights, please, and let's vote. Oh, overwhelmingly, yes, yes. We're going to include the blue shirt in the Museum of Utopian Clothes. Thank you. That's a lot of white dresses there. Now, story number two, Occupy the American Dream. When we first moved to Pittsburgh for the job, I was already pretty crazy, and the abyss of America was all around us. Its small-mindedness and its repressive sociality and the hatred for the threat to this dream of middle-class prosperity. And I really couldn't cope, But everybody runs in Pittsburgh, and sometimes it's hard to walk down the street because there's just so many people running down the street. And I think that they think that they're running toward the big dream, but really they're just running to try to keep up and maybe even keep sane. But I like to run. And running was kind of a cure for me too, particularly when I switched from listening to music to listening to audiobooks. And after a while, audiobooks exclusively by the great Soviet author Andrei Platonov. He has a rhythm to his prose. It's his beloved effect of toska and an ache of longing that can stretch from simple boredom to anguish. And it envelops his words. And it transforms erotic desire into the desire for socialism, and the desire for socialism into the desire for human contact, and then the desire for human contact into a larger sense of a collective body. And I guess in a way I was running from the world around me and kind of back into this desire and into these stories from a different kind of a dream. And I wanted all the other assholes out there running to know that I was different from them. So I got my wife to make me this shirt that says, "Fueled by amorous longing for socialism." And I remember running up the hill, and his novel is all big and lush in my ears. And there's this scene where the hero, Davenov, gets shot. And he falls off his horse, and he clutches its hairy leg, and he just gets so lost in its living fragrance that he ejaculates. And nature teaches him the passion for life at this edge of death. Well, eventually, I started taking the crazy pills, and I had less need for this cure. But the shirt always does remind me of those days when I thought that I could beat the fear with the words of the genius alone. Story two, Occupy the American Dream. So, is this true humanity? Is this a battle internally or within society? Get ready to vote with your addresses. Lights, please, and let's vote. Oh, this is a mixed crowd. Yes and no, and yes and no. And the answer is yes, it will be included. Thank you. Oh, that was a close one. That was close. People have an affinity for Pittsburgh, it seems. Story three, Occupy the Body Politic. These are the underpants which have witnessed some really strange things. I mean, recently on Sunday, October the 10th, 2006, I was watching the TV debates with Trump and Hillary, and I must say that I really hate Trump, right? And I think our country is fucking going nuts. But for some reason, when I'm tired, I like to listen to him, because then I don't need alcohol or coffee to get going, because he's fucking alarming, and it gives me this kind of strange drive and a stimulation that kind of to resist the boredom of my daily life, But this time on Sunday, I had another strange total sensation on my body, because I heard him talking. And my dick started getting hard. So I decided to contribute my underpants to this project because, I really, really hate Trump. And this coincidence is driving me crazy. I mean, now I'm scared of myself. And I don't know what to do. Should I go to a doctor? I mean, would you be so kind as to recommend someone to me? I mean, please. Story 3, Occupy the Body Politic. Now, this is a question, isn't it? You're going to have a chance to vote, but let's think about this. These are stories from which we can learn. Let's get ready to vote. Lights, please, and let's vote. This is a tight one. It's a tight one, but the upstairs is taking it. Yes, it will be included. Oh, that's a sad day for you people down here with the white dresses, or the red ones. I'm sorry about that. Yes, it will be included into the program. And now our fourth and final story, Occupy the Medical System. I put this onesie on Leo when we went for his second hearing test. He was 8 weeks old. The shirt was too big, but the image of the rooster was printed by my great-grandmother, and it was sewn onto that shirt by my grandmother. And, well, I just wanted to sort of have a lot of strength when he went into that test, sort of like big cock here. I knew what this test would be like. The audiologist would glue electrodes into his head, onto his head, and into his baby hair. And then I would nurse him in the darkened, soundproof testing room, and then I could provide natural sleep while the audiologist sent sounds into his ears and through his forehead. And I was nervous because the first test had revealed a hearing loss and a conversation that was something like this. Well, I've detected a mild, moderate, bilateral sensorial hearing loss. Here's a packet. You should schedule an appointment with the ENT. Well, what about the rest of his neurology? Yes, well, that's a question. And for 6 weeks, I'd been enduring this sleepless newborn care with this question hanging in the air. And I searched the internet at first to understand the abbreviations on the packet, the MMR, the C of V, the MRI, EKG, ENT, BTE, BAH, AHOH. And then to discover more about children with hearing loss. What I found was abundant, infinite, disorganized, and terrifying. I worried that my child would never hear to speak, or speak to write, or think, or even have a voice at all. And he slept 18 hours a day, and I was afraid that his hearing was deteriorating and that there was a virus. And this is when you're just waiting for their eyes to focus and a smile. And I was afraid to announce his birth because I didn't know him. I didn't know if he could hear his name, or if I should change his name, or learn to sign it. Story 4, Occupy the Medical System. So let's get ready. Should this little onesie from this baby be included in this? Lights, please, and let's have our voting. White for yes. Whoa, it's like a snowstorm in here. Yes, white. It is included. Thank you very much. That was fast. There was no debate there. that will be included in the Museum of Utopian Clothes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking part in this today. It is your effort that is going to make this a reality and give us a humanity that we need. But now, let us see the clothes that have been included, the ones selected today and others in a procession through the theater. Here they are, the clothes going into the Museum of Utopian Clothing. Ah, very nice. Thank you. Come on back this way.
Hi, everyone.
Dear friends, thank you very much for your attention, and we are absolutely happy to perform our debates on division here. And separate thanks, of course, to genius actor Mr. B. Stan Lee.
It was very exciting to work on the American version of Debates on Division, as the project started in 2014 and was presented first time in St. Petersburg as a part of public program of Manifesta. Later we worked on the Amsterdam version, and now we presented to you a shorter version of the performance, which is based on stories of people living in the States, and usually performance takes about 2 hours, and finishing with a procession in a public space when everyone goes on the street. But it was equally exciting to do it here.
This piece is really dear for us because it was born within the struggle when the annexation of Crimea happened, and at the time of escalation of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. We were forced to take sides, to revisit and analyze post-Soviet political conditions, cross-border relations, and the global implications.
So clothes in this performance works as a link between art and everyday life, and also creates conditions to analyze relation between interpersonal lives and political system.
And we cordially welcome you tomorrow to continue debates in our workshop.
Yeah, and probably we will go on a procession around White House.
To create utopian clothes together and formulate our demands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.